Welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. Find a comfortable position, let the day slowly fade away, and allow yourself to simply listen. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be, and nothing expected of you except to relax. As our story unfolds, you can follow every detail, or simply let the sound of my voice carry you gently towards sleep. Now let's begin. Imagine a nation born not from conquest, but from peace. Look at this land, sprawling forests and fertile valleys, home to the Iroquois for centuries. Before they were unified, these lands echoed with war. It's a story etched into the landscape, revealing a surprising path towards strength through unity. They call themselves Haudenosaunee, people of the Longhouse. More than just a dwelling, the Longhouse represents their shared history and community. It's a connection deeper than any border or political line. For generations before Europeans arrived, they thrived here, building lives interwoven with this land. Picture a territory stretching across upstate New York and southern Ontario. 6 nations, the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and later the Tuscarora, each with distinct lands and customs. Despite their differences, they shared this vital space, a space often contested. Their lives revolved around the natural world. Masters of agriculture, they cultivated what's known as the 3 sisters: corn, beans, and squash, a symbiotic relationship where each plant supports the others. They hunted deer and bear, fished the rivers. Their understanding of the seasons was profound. It dictated everything. Archaeologists continue to unearth pieces of their past, fragments of pottery, tools crafted from flint and bone, ancient burial sites. These aren't just relics, they are tangible links to generations before us. What secrets do these silent witnesses hold about a people so deeply connected to this place? Oral tradition speaks of a time long ago when clans battled relentlessly, a period marked by immense suffering. Then came a turning point, a legend that would shape their destiny, the story of Sky Woman's descent. The legend tells us that Sky Woman, banished from her heavenly home, fell to a world shrouded in water. Guided by animals, she landed on the back of a giant turtle, creating what we now call Turtle Island, North America. It's a powerful story about creation, resilience, and our connection to all living things. But even creation couldn't erase human conflict. The clans continued to war, fueled by old grievances and bitter rivalries. It was during this time that a figure emerged who would forever change Iroquois history: Hiawatha. He suffered greatly, says one elder. Witnessing the devastation, he was consumed by grief. It wasn't ambition or power that drove him. It was a deep empathy for his people and a yearning to end the bloodshed. This personal tragedy became the catalyst for something extraordinary, and so began Hiawatha's journey. Guided by the visionary Oneida, also known as the Great Peacemaker, he set out to walk among the warring nations, not with weapons or threats, but with a message of peace and unity. What did he offer that could possibly break through centuries of conflict? Imagine a land fractured by constant conflict, clan against clan, village against village. It wasn't uncommon. Then came Hiawatha. He traveled from nation to nation, facing suspicion and outright hostility. Some leaders feared unity would diminish their power, making any move towards peace seem impossible at first. The answer was brilliant: the Great Law of Peace. It's more than an agreement. It's a constitution, a framework for self-governance. Every nation had to agree before any decision could be made, prioritizing consensus. And critically, checks and balances were built in, preventing any single leader or nation from becoming too powerful. Truly revolutionary for its time. The symbolism was profound. Each nation participated in a ceremony unlike any other. They buried their weapons, axes, knives, war clubs deep within the earth. It wasn't just about putting down arms. It was burying the idea of constant warfare, a visual declaration that they were choosing peace, not simply as an absence of conflict, but as a deliberate and active choice. But unity required more than agreement. It needed a central place, a constant reminder of their shared purpose. The Onondaga nation stepped forward, chosen as keepers of the Confederacy and home to the council fire. They weren't necessarily the strongest or most numerous, but respected for their wisdom and neutrality. Their land would become sacred ground. The Confederacy was deeply rooted in their social structure, the clan system. Lineage mattered, passed down through the women. Each clan had responsibilities: hunting, farming, crafting, ensuring everyone contributed to the community's well-being. This matrilineal system, where descent and inheritance followed the mother's line, shaped every aspect of Iroquois life, and women held power unlike anywhere else at the time. They didn't fight or hold official titles, but their influence was undeniable. Women nominated and selected chiefs, holding them accountable to the people. They controlled land distribution, ensuring sustainable use for generations. Their voices were essential to every decision. It's not about what I want, it's about what's best for the people. That commitment to collective good is at the heart of Haudenosaunee governance. Every decision required careful consideration, open discussion, and a willingness to compromise, ensuring everyone felt heard and valued. These weren't just decorations, they were living documents, wampum belts, strings of beads meticulously crafted, each representing a word or concept. They recorded agreements, laws, and histories, visual narratives passed down through generations, serving as reminders of their shared values and the promises made to each other. For centuries, this system worked remarkably well. The Great Law's checks and balances prevented any one person or nation from amassing too much power, ensuring stability and prosperity long before European contact. Their ability to resolve disputes peacefully and collaborate on common goals was a testament to their founders' wisdom. Imagine representatives from each of the 6 nations, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and Tuscarora, gathering around that council fire, each nation sending their voices to discuss trade, defense, diplomacy. This Grand Council was a symbol of unity and collective strength. But how did this remarkable system really function day to day? Early accounts reveal a surprising optimism. European traders arriving not as conquerors, but as potential partners. Gifts were exchanged, tentative alliances formed. It seemed a new era of prosperity might dawn for the Iroquois Confederacy. But how long could that last? Competition for land and resources rarely remained so polite. As more settlers arrived, claiming land as their own, that initial cordiality began to fade. The Iroquois watched their hunting grounds shrink, their traditional way of life threatened. It wasn't a sudden change, more like a slow burn. But the relationship shifted, and not for the better. Tension simmered just beneath the surface. Then came the Beaver Wars, a brutal conflict lasting decades. It wasn't simply about beavers, it was about control of vital trade routes deep within the forests. The Mohawk, Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, and Oneida nations fought against their neighbors, sometimes alongside them, in a desperate struggle for survival. Imagine the chaos, the constant threat of attack. Looking at a map from that era is like trying to untangle a knot. Alliances shifted constantly, one day fighting together, the next battling against. The Confederacy wasn't always united. Internal rivalries played out on a larger stage, creating a volatile landscape for everyone. It was a constant dance of diplomacy and warfare, a system rooted in peace, consensus, and shared governance. How could this incredible structure possibly withstand the relentless pressure of European expansion? That's a question that historians still grapple with today. What were the Confederacy's strengths, and what weaknesses would ultimately be exploited? The Beaver Wars destabilized everything, disrupting trade routes and shattering old alliances. Sensing weakness, colonial powers began to exploit those divisions. It was a calculated strategy, playing one nation against another for their own gain, creating chaos and undermining the Confederacy's authority. The English offered weaponry to the Oneida, while the French armed the Seneca, each side vying for dominance in the fur trade. It wasn't about friendship, it was about control. This strategic manipulation severely hampered the Confederacy's ability to speak with a unified voice and negotiate as one. As colonial influence grew, individual nations within the Confederacy began charting their own courses regarding trade, some embracing closer alliances, others determined to maintain stricter boundaries. This divergence created deep fault lines and internal conflict. Could the traditional bonds hold against such pressure? The tensions finally erupted with King William's War, a brutal conflict between England and France. Suddenly, the Iroquois were thrust into a larger colonial struggle, forced to choose sides or risk annihilation. They found themselves entangled in a war far beyond their borders. The scale of colonial warfare was unlike anything the Iroquois had ever experienced. Seeing their people suffer, witnessing the devastation firsthand, it forced some leaders to question the Confederacy's long-held principles of peace and neutrality. Was there still a path forward? A fierce debate raged within the Grand Council. The war had stretched on far too long, and as year after year passed, old alliances began to fray. Representatives from nations like Seneca and Mohawk, bearing the brunt of colonial attacks, demanded harsh retaliation, a scorched earth policy. Others argued for negotiation, even concessions, just to survive. The Grand Council, once a symbol of unity, felt the strain, the very foundation of their confederacy threatened by desperation and fear. Could they find common ground? Then, a voice cut through the discord. Kaniata, an elder from Onondaga, known for his wisdom and foresight. He didn't dismiss the pain or anger, he acknowledged it, but he insisted that clinging to rigid traditions wouldn't save them. Adapting, preserving their core values while navigating colonial realities, that was their only hope. It sparked a furious debate, a clash of philosophies that echoed across generations, and so began a series of treaties, agreements signed with European powers, often under immense pressure. Some Iroquois leaders believed they were securing peace and trade, others suspected deception, but the reality was far more complex, the language ambiguous, promises easily broken. It was a slow erosion of Iroquois land and sovereignty. How could these documents truly protect them? The Confederacy found itself caught between an implacable colonial tide and its own internal divisions. Resources dwindled, alliances shifted, the weight of European expansion bearing down relentlessly. Could the Iroquois maintain their independence against such a force? It felt increasingly unlikely. The treaties promised much: recognition of Iroquois land, protection from encroachment. But those promises were routinely ignored. Colonists pushed westward, seizing territory and dismantling traditional systems. It was a stark demonstration of the imbalance of power, a betrayal etched into the historical record. Yet, amidst the despair and loss, stories of resistance emerged. Quiet acts of defiance passed down through generations. Individuals refused to surrender their culture, preserving traditions in secret ceremonies and oral histories. Our ancestors never gave up, one story recounts, and neither will we. How did they manage to keep hope alive? Remarkably, the Confederacy's principles, its emphasis on consensus building and representation, found an audience far beyond its borders. Correspondence between American revolutionaries reveals a deep admiration for the Iroquois system of governance. They practice a form of liberty we can only aspire to, one letter reads. What influence did this have? Experts point to the Confederacy's system of checks and balances, a way to prevent any one individual or nation from accumulating too much power. It anticipated aspects of modern democratic governance, demonstrating a legacy that extends far beyond its immediate history, a blueprint for a more just society. Today, representatives of the Six Nations stand as living testament to their ancestors' resilience, reaffirming their commitment to preserving Iroquois culture and sovereignty. We carry the burden of history, one leader says, but we also carry the hope for a brighter future. What does it mean to be an Iroquois person today? The Iroquois Confederacy, a story of remarkable innovation, devastating loss, and enduring strength. What lessons can we draw from their experience? How do we reconcile the triumphs with the failures and acknowledge the legacy that continues to shape our world today? The answer lies in remembering.